The spaceship hovered silently above the blue and green planet. Alien students pressed their faces to the glass, eyes wide with wonder. This was their first time seeing Earth, a planet whispered about in alien academies as the infamous Deathworld. Every story they had heard made it sound deadly, dangerous, and impossible to survive. "Look at it," said Zorax, the smallest of students, his voice trembling. "It's beautiful, but dangerous." "Beautiful?" snapped Kira, rolling her eyes. "It looks calm from here, but don't forget, this world kills the careless. We are not ready." Professor Delon, an old, wise alien who guided them, floated near the control panel. His many eyes scanned the planet below. "Earth is not just dangerous because of its animals or storms," he said slowly. "It is dangerous because it teaches survival in ways no other planet can. You will learn quickly or fail." The students exchanged nervous glances. They had trained in simulations, learning about extreme environments, predator behaviors, and human myths. But nothing could prepare them for the real Earth. The spaceship began its descent through the upper atmosphere. The aliens clutched railings as turbulence shook the vessel. Lightning danced across thick clouds below, turning the oceans into silver mirrors. Strange signals flickered on the ship's instruments, alerting the students to movement on the surface. "What is that?" asked Lyra, pointing at the readings. "Some kind of predator?" Professor Thalen's voice was calm, almost amused. "It is bigger than you think. Earth does not follow logic. The rules here are alive." The students shivered. Outside, the forest below stretched endlessly, dark and mysterious. They could see mountains that seemed to pierce the clouds. The air smelled different even from inside the ship, a strange mix of ozone, water, and something wild. The spaceship landed in a clearing. It was not smooth or flat, like they expected. Rocks jutted out at sharp angles. Vines moved slightly, as if reacting to the presence of aliens. A low rumble shook the ground beneath them. "This is Earth," whispered Zorax. "It feels alive." Professor Delon nodded. "Yes, and it will test you." The alien students prepared to exit. They adjusted their suits, activated scanners, and stepped onto the soil. The ground was soft, wet, and surprisingly strong. Every step made a small vibration, as if Earth itself was aware of their presence. Suddenly, a screech pierced the air. The students froze. From the trees, something large and dark moved with impossible speed. The student scanners tried to detect it, but the readings kept flickering. "Stay calm," Delon instructed. "Do not panic. Observe first, then act." The creature emerged for a brief moment, a massive predator with glimmering eyes and sharp teeth. It looked nothing like the creatures in their textbooks. Its body was lean, muscles coiled, ready to strike. Then, as quickly as it appeared, it vanished into the forest. The students gasped. Fear gripped them, but curiosity pulled them forward. This is real," whispered Lyra. They weren't exaggerating. Delon floated beside them, observing the forest with quiet intensity. "Real? Yes. Exaggerated? Perhaps not. But remember, students' survival is not just about strength. Earth teaches wisdom, strategy, and courage." The students moved cautiously through the forest. Each step was a careful calculation. Strange plants leaned toward them, some releasing spores that glowed faintly. Zorax accidentally touched one, and a cloud of spores filled the air. He coughed and waved his arms frantically, causing the others to laugh nervously. "This planet wants to see if you pay attention," said Delon. "Everything here reacts. Even the smallest creatures are aware of you. Even the wind can kill." Hours passed, and the students continued to explore. They found strange rivers that moved unpredictably, rocks that shifted slightly under their weight, and plants that seemed to grow toward them as they walked. Every discovery was exciting, but also terrifying. By evening, the sky turned a deep shade of orange, reflecting on the water. Shadows stretched across the forest floor. The students gathered near the river, exhausted but exhilarated. "Why is it called a Deathworld?" asked Kira quietly. "So far, we haven't seen humans, and nothing has tried to kill us yet." Thalen's many eyes reflected the setting sun. "You misunderstand. Earth is called a death world not because it is easy to die, but because it teaches life in its harshest form. Survival here is not simple. It tests intelligence, courage, and patience. Humans have mastered this art. The students blinked. Humans? They had only read myths about them. Small, fragile creatures who somehow survived against impossible odds. Now, hearing the professor speak, they felt a mixture of curiosity and dread. Suddenly, a sound cut through the quiet, a low rumble, not from the forest, but from the sky. The students looked up. A human aircraft, small and fast, flew overhead. It was unlike anything they had seen, powered by engines that defied alien logic. "Humans are here," DeLon said quietly, "and they're always watching." The students' hearts raced. They had expected animals, storms, and strange terrain. But humans, that was something different. The idea that a small, fragile species could survive here, on this death world, was hard to grasp. Night fell, and the forest became a different world. Shadows twisted unnaturally. Strange noises echoed, some from the ground, some from the treetops. The students huddled together in their suits, scanning constantly. Every rustle of leaves or crack of a branch set their alarms buzzing. "This is insane," whispered Zorax. "I thought simulations were hard. But this is real life. And alive." Lyra nodded. "We need to learn quickly or we will fail." DeLon led them to a small clearing. He activated a device that projected a holographic map of the surrounding area. "Observe," he said. "This is where humans live. Small villages, few buildings. But notice the traps, the tools, the smoke signals. Everything is designed for survival. They are clever, unlike anything you imagine." The students stared in awe. The humans were tiny compared to predators. Yet every human action seemed deliberate, precise, and deadly in a smart way. They did not rely on raw power. They relied on knowledge, adaptability, and courage. Suddenly, the ground trembled. The students turned to see a huge shadow moving toward them. The same predator from earlier? Or something new? Their scanners flickered, unable to capture the full size or speed of the creature. "Stand back," DeLon warned. "Watch and learn. Do not act hastily." The predator paused at the edge of the clearing. Its eyes glowed in the moonlight. The students held their breath, hearts pounding. It sniffed the air, looking directly at them. Then, with a speed that seemed impossible, it leaped into the trees and disappeared. The students exhaled slowly, relief and fear mixing in equal measure. "This planet, it is alive," whispered Kira, "and it is testing us." DeLon nodded. "Yes, the unexpected will happen here. That is why Earth is a death world. It does not punish the weak randomly. It teaches the strong how to survive in unimaginable ways. And humans, they have learned the ultimate lesson." The students laid down in their suits, staring at the stars through the canopy. They knew the real adventure was only beginning. Tomorrow, they would move closer to human settlements. They would see the so-called masters of Earth for themselves. But tonight was the first taste of true fear, awe, and wonder. The forest whispered secrets. The wind carried unknown threats. And the death world watched them silently. For the alien students, nothing would ever be the same. The alien students woke to a forest alive with sounds. Birds, insects, and strange rustles of movement filled the air. The sunlight pierced through the thick canopy, creating patterns that danced across the forest floor. Every shadow seemed to move, and every sound carried a warning. "Are we ready for this?" whispered Zorax, adjusting his scanning device. "We have no choice," said Kira, her voice steady despite the tension. "The forest will test us anyway." Professor DeLon floated above the ground, his many eyes scanning the area. "Remember, students," he said slowly, "Earth's dangers are not always obvious. Survival is about observation first, reaction second." The students began walking carefully, stepping over roots and avoiding strange plants that seemed to sway toward them. Zorax accidentally touched a vine that coiled quickly around his arm. He yelped, and the vine tightened just enough to make him panic. "Focus," Kira hissed. "This is why we are here. Learn from everything." Hours passed. The alien students encountered insects larger than any they had seen in training. Quick and unpredictable. Some released clouds of irritating dust when touched. Others were silent hunters, vanishing and reappearing in shadows. "This is harder than we imagined," muttered Lyra, scanning a large open area ahead. Even small creatures here can kill if you are careless. Then came the first shock of the day. From the undergrowth, a large shadow moved. It was not an insect. It was a predator, far bigger than any alien had prepared for. Its eyes gleamed like molten gold, and its teeth glinted in the sunlight. The students froze. Their scanners tried to measure its size, but the numbers kept fluctuating wildly. The creature seemed to distort reality around it. "Stand still," ordered the lawn. "Do not make sudden movements. Observe." The predator stalked closer, moving silently despite its size. One student, Nara, whispered, "We cannot fight that." "You are correct," Delan replied. "You cannot fight it, but you can survive if you think carefully." The predator sniffed the air, moving closer. Then, just as suddenly, it vanished into the forest as if the shadows themselves swallowed it. The students exhaled in relief, hearts pounding. Their suits were equipped with sensors and defensive shields, but even so, they felt powerless. "This planet is alive," said Zorax. "It reacts to everything." "Yes," said Delan. "And every creature here is part of the test. Observe humans. They survive because they understand the rules of this world. They adapt. You must learn quickly." The students moved forward, entering a river valley. The water was cold and fast-moving. Rocks in the stream shifted as if aware of their weight. Zorax slipped once, catching himself just in time, and the others helped him regain balance. "This planet is teaching us patience," said Kira. "Even the river is part of the test." As they crossed, they noticed strange markings on the rocks. Deep scratches, arranged in patterns. "What is this?" asked Lyra. "Animal scratches?" Delan shook his head. "No, these are human marks. They use this to trap predators or warn each other. Every mark tells a story of survival." The students were fascinated. Humans seemed fragile, yet clever. The myths they had heard of humans surviving Deathworld suddenly felt real. As they walked, the forest became darker, the canopy thicker. Strange noises echoed from above. Birds that should have been asleep were moving, their wings silent but fast. Then came a sound that froze everyone, the roar of a large predator closer than before. "This way," Delan whispered, leading them toward a hidden ridge. From there, they could observe without being seen. Below, in a small clearing, humans appeared. They were tiny compared to predators, small and fragile-looking. Yet they moved with confidence. One human lifted a spear made of simple materials, aiming at a predator that crept toward the village. In one swift move, the predator was trapped in a pit cleverly hidden in the ground. The students watched, mouths open. "They are hunting?" asked Nara. "With such small weapons?" "Yes," said Delan. "They are intelligent. Their tools are simple, but their minds are complex. That is how humans survive." Suddenly, a predator lunged from the shadows. The humans did not panic. One jumped aside, another tripped a trap, and the predator fell into a hidden pit. Silence returned. The students were stunned. "Observe carefully," Delan whispered. "Power is not enough here. You must think, adapt, and stay calm under pressure. Humans are masters of survival on Deathworld." The students took notes, scanning the humans' every move. They were fast, precise, and fearless. Every action seemed deliberate. One human child, no older than 10, handled a small predator calmly, guiding it into a trap. The aliens could not believe their eyes. "They are tiny," whispered Zorax. "But nothing here scares them." "No," said Delan. "Fear is natural, but humans use it. They do not allow it to control them. That is why they are legendary." The forest grew more dangerous as the students continued. Strange plants released clouds of spores, confusing their scanners. Rivers shifted unexpectedly. Rocks fell from cliffs, and predators moved silently, testing them. Each time, the students had to pause, observe, and react carefully. Hours passed. Hunger and fatigue began to weigh on them. The alien students realized that surviving Earth required more than just intelligence. It required courage, patience, and constant vigilance. Then came a shocking moment. From behind a thick bush, a large predator charged. The student shields activated automatically, but Delan remained calm. "Observe first," he commanded. Do not react out of fear. The predator leaped, but instead of attacking directly, it circled them, studying them. It tested their reactions. Zorax froze, Kira ducked instinctively, and Lyra held her ground. Fallon's calm presence seemed to anchor them. Finally, the predator turned and vanished into the forest. The students exhaled, realizing they had survived their first real test. This planet does not just try to kill, said Delon. It teaches, it forces you to grow, to think, to survive. That is why humans can thrive here. You will learn the same if you are willing to adapt. The students set up a small camp for the night. They were exhausted but exhilarated. Every step, every sound, every movement had been a lesson. They began to understand why Earth was feared across the galaxy as they settled. A new sound reached their ears, distant, faint, but unmistakable. Human voices. They were singing or chanting, a strange melody that carried through the forest. The students felt a mix of awe and fear. Humans were not just survivors. They were creatures who understood the world so deeply they could live in harmony with it, even thrive amidst danger. Tomorrow, said Delon, we will approach closer. You will see humans not as myths, but as reality. They are the reason this planet is a death world. Not because it kills, but because it teaches. The alien students lay awake, listening to the forest. Every rustle, every shadow, every distant roar was a lesson. They knew the real challenge had only begun. Earth was alive, dangerous, unpredictable, and the humans were something far beyond what they had imagined. Zorax whispered into the dark, I think we're going to learn why humans are called legends. The forest seemed to listen, the wind carrying the words as if Earth itself acknowledged the aliens' understanding. The students drifted asleep, their minds racing with the possibilities, the dangers, and the incredible lessons that awaited them. Tomorrow, they would meet the masters of Deathworld, and nothing would ever be the same again. The sun rose over the Deathworld, painting the forest in shades of orange and gold. Alien students, tired but determined, followed Professor Delon through thick undergrowth. Their sensors still flickered with strange readings. Earth's life forms were unpredictable, fast, and clever. Every rustle of leaves, every shadow, every movement seemed to carry a lesson. Today, said Delon, you will see humans not as myths, but as the true masters of survival on this planet. The students glanced at each other nervously. Yesterday, they had watched humans from a distance. Today, they would see them up close. As they neared a clearing, they froze. Humans were everywhere, men, women, children, moving with purpose. Some carried simple weapons. Others tended traps. The students expected humans to be cautious, but the humans moved with confidence, unafraid of predators that lurked nearby. Look at that, whispered Kira. They are so small and yet so fearless. Delon nodded. Fear is natural, but humans control it. They turn fear into skill. Watch carefully. From the treeline, a massive predator crept into the clearing. Its eyes glowed like fire. Its teeth gleamed, and its muscles flexed with deadly precision. The students tensed. This was a creature that had vanished from their sensors yesterday. The apex predator of this region. One human raised a simple spear. Another triggered a trap hidden in the ground. The predator roared, lunged, and fell into a concealed pit. The students gasped. They had expected a battle, a fight of strength. Instead, humans had used intelligence, traps, and quick thinking to survive. Notice, Delon said, humans do not rely on raw power. They rely on their minds. The students studied the humans carefully. Even children were involved. One small child, no more than 10 cycles old, handled a creature twice her size with remarkable skill. She guided it toward a pit, speaking softly, moving calmly. The predator struggled, but she was patient. Finally, it fell into the trap. Impossible, muttered Zorax. How can something so small control creatures so deadly? That is the way of Deathworld, Delon said. Strength alone does not guarantee survival. Observation, patience, cleverness, these are the tools that matter. The students continued to watch. Every human action was deliberate. They built small shelters, reinforced traps, and used fire strategically to drive predators away. Even when a predator attacked directly, the humans responded with calm, precise movements that minimized risk. Suddenly, a predator leaped from the trees toward a group of humans. The aliens braced themselves, expecting panic. But instead, the humans acted as a single unit. One human threw a net, another created a diversion, and another tripped a hidden log trap. The predator fell and was incapacitated without a single human casualty. This is incredible, whispered Lyra. They are tiny, but they are masters of strategy. Yes, said Delon. This is why Earth is a death world. It challenges not only body but mind. Humans have learned the rules of this world so well that they can face death calmly and survive. That is their strength. The alien students moved closer, still hidden, observing humans more intently. They saw humans gathering food, tending to wounds, and teaching younger humans how to handle danger. Every action was purposeful. Every decision carried experience and wisdom passed down through generations. One student, Nara, whispered, "They're not afraid of death. They understand it. They respect it. And yet they keep moving, keep surviving." Thalen's eyes glinted. Exactly. That is why humans dominate their environment. They turn Deathworld into a school of survival. Every predator, every storm, every river is a teacher, and humans are students and masters at the same time. The students continued to watch, mesmerized. A human group approached a river where massive predators lurked. The humans did not panic. Instead, they used simple rafts and fishing tools to cross. One young boy distracted a predator with a stick, while another guided his companion across safely. The aliens could not believe their eyes. Do they ever fail? Asked Kira. Delon shook his head. Failures happen, of course. But notice how they learn from each one. Every mistake becomes a lesson. Every danger becomes a teacher. That is why they survive when others would perish. Suddenly, a predator charged from behind the aliens' hiding spot. The students froze. Their shields activated automatically, but Delon remained calm. "Observe," he whispered. "Even here you must watch. Survival is about awareness, not just reaction." The predators circled them, sniffing the air, testing them. Zorax panicked, stepping backward, but Thalen's calm presence anchored him. Slowly, the predator lost interest and moved back into the forest. The students exhaled in relief, their hearts pounding. They had survived another test. As they moved forward, they encountered humans repairing a small shelter. The humans noticed the aliens' presence but did not panic. They merely studied the surroundings, adjusted their defenses, and continued their work. The students were amazed. Humans were aware of danger constantly, yet their actions were never reckless. They were always alert, always prepared, always thinking ahead. "This is amazing," said Lyra. "They are so small, yet they command respect from predators larger than themselves." "Yes," Delon said. "That is why Earth is called a death world. Not because it kills indiscriminately, but because it tests the intelligent. Humans have mastered the ultimate lesson. Fear can be controlled, danger can be predicted, and life can be preserved with wisdom." The sun began to set, casting long shadows across the forest. The alien students gathered near a ridge, looking down at the human village. They were exhausted, but their minds were racing. They had witnessed courage, intelligence, and the unbreakable spirit of humans. "Tomorrow," said Delon, "you will approach even closer. You will see humans not as creatures of myth, but as masters of Deathworld itself." The students laid down in their suits, listening to the forest. Strange noises echoed. Predators moved in the shadows, but the aliens felt a strange sense of awe. Humans were small, fragile, and yet unstoppable in their own way. "This planet, it is alive," whispered Zorax. "And humans, they are more than we imagined." "Yes," said Kira. "We are learning why Earth is called a death world. It is not the predators. It is humans who make it legendary." The stars appeared above the canopy. The forest hummed with life, danger, and the energy of a world that tested everything. The students knew that what they had seen was only the beginning. Humans had secret strategies and skills that could survive anything. "This is just a start," said Nara. "We have a lot to learn if we survive." Delon smiled faintly. "Survival is not the goal here. Understanding is." and humans will teach you the meaning of Deathworld in ways you cannot imagine. The students drifted into uneasy sleep, knowing that tomorrow would bring even greater challenges, closer encounters, and lessons that could change their understanding of life, danger, and intelligence forever. The alien students woke to another bright morning on Earth. The forest around them was alive with sounds. Birds calling, insects buzzing, leaves rustling with the wind. But unlike the first days, there was no fear in their hearts. Instead, a mixture of awe, curiosity, and respect filled them. Yesterday, they had seen humans in action. Tiny creatures facing deadly predators, unpredictable terrain, and harsh elements. And they had survived. More than that, humans had thrived. "This planet is alive," whispered Zorax, still amazed. "And humans, they are something else." Professor DeLon nodded, his many eyes scanning the horizon. Humans are Earth's greatest survivors. Not because they're the strongest, but because they have mastered the rules of this death world. Today, you will see why. The students moved forward cautiously, following the sound of a distant village. As they drew closer, they noticed humans performing daily activities, hunting, gathering, and teaching. Every movement was precise, deliberate, and purposeful. Humans were small compared to predators, yet they carried an air of confidence. "Look at that child," whispered Kira. "She is teaching others to avoid the traps. She is guiding them, training them." DeLon smiled faintly. "Observe closely. Humans do not just survive. They teach survival to the next generation. That is why they endure when others perish." The alien students watched as a group of humans approached a river. The water was deep, and predators lurked beneath the surface. Most aliens would have panicked, but the humans moved calmly. They set up small rafts, timed their movements carefully, and guided each other across safely. "Did you see that?" said Lyra, astonished. "They are so small and yet so fearless." DeLon floated closer. "Fear is natural. Humans experience it constantly, but they do not allow it to control them. They use fear as a teacher. Every predator, every challenge, every storm teaches them how to survive." The students continued observing. Humans use fire strategically, created simple but clever traps, and moved in groups that communicated silently through gestures. Even the youngest humans contributed, handling small predators and learning from mistakes without panic. "Why are they called legends?" asked Nara quietly. "Because," DeLon replied, "they turned the harshest planet into a school of survival. Deathworld is not only about danger. It is about intelligence, courage, adaptability, and respect for life. Humans understand all of these and use them to thrive." As the students moved through the forest, they encountered a predator that had once terrified them. It appeared again, larger than before, its eyes glowing in the morning light. The students froze. Their shields activated automatically, ready for combat. DeLon held up a hand. "Watch. Learn. Do not act out of fear." The predator approached the humans nearby, but instead of panicking, the humans coordinated. Some distracted it. Others led it toward a hidden trap, and one cleverly used a simple lever to pin the creature. The predator struggled, but could not escape. Humans had done it again, outsmarting death itself. The students were speechless. They had seen intelligence in many species, but never combined with courage in such a perfect balance. Humans were small, but their minds and spirits were immense. This is impossible," muttered Zorax. "How can such fragile creatures survive on a planet like this?" "They do not rely on strength alone," said DeLon. "They rely on skill, observation, teamwork, and courage. That is how Deathworld is mastered." As the day passed, the students observed humans teaching the young. They learned how to recognize predators, find food, and navigate the terrain. Mistakes were corrected calmly, without panic or harsh punishment. Knowledge was shared, preserved, and passed down. The alien students realized something profound. Humans were not only surviving, they were shaping their environment to suit their needs without destroying it. Every trap, every tool, every strategy was an expression of intelligence. "They are shaping Deathworld?" asked Lyra, amazed. "Yes," said DeLon. "Humans do not conquer Earth by force. They conquer it through understanding. That is why they are feared across the galaxy in stories, and why the planet itself respects them in a way no other species commands. The students continued moving toward a ridge that overlooked the entire valley. From there, they could see humans in villages, fields, and forests. Humans worked together, lived together, and survived together. Even when predators attacked or storms arrived, humans adapted quickly and decisively. "This is unbelievable," whispered Nara. "They are so small, yet so powerful in spirit." "Yes," Delan replied. "They have learned the ultimate lesson. Death is not to be feared. It is to be respected. And in respecting it, humans have turned this death world into a place of life, learning, and mastery." Suddenly, the students saw a predator approaching a human child. The aliens tensed, ready to intervene, but the child acted quickly, calmly, and intelligently. Using a stick and a small trap, the predator was neutralized without harm to anyone. Zorax turned to Delan. I think I understand. Humans do not fight blindly. They think, they learn, they adapt, and that is why they survive." Thalan's eyes gleamed. "Exactly. That is why Earth is called a death world. Not because it kills easily, but because it teaches perfectly. Humans have become legends because they have learned the art of survival on the harshest planet." The sun began to set, casting long shadows across the valley. The alien students gathered on the ridge, looking down at the humans below. They were exhausted but filled with awe. Every moment they had observed, every action they had seen, had changed their understanding of life and survival. "This planet, it is alive," said Kira softly. "And humans, they're the heart of it." Delan nodded. "Earth is a death world, yes, but humans have turned its dangers into lessons. They are the reason this planet is legendary. And now, you have witnessed it with your own eyes." The students looked at each other. They had expected a dangerous planet, but what they found was far more extraordinary. Humans were not just survivors. They were teachers, masters, and legends. That night, the alien students camped near the ridge, watching the humans below. Fires glowed, shadows danced, and the forest whispered around them. The predators moved, the rivers flowed, and the wind carried lessons from every corner of Deathworld. Zorax whispered, I think we have learned why humans are called legends." "Yes," said Nara. "They are small, fragile, and yet unstoppable in ways we cannot imagine." Professor Delan smiled. "Tomorrow we return to our ship. You will report what you have seen. Tell others what you have learned. Humans are not only survivors. They are the embodiment of intelligence, courage, and respect for life. That is the greatest lesson of all." The students drifted into sleep, minds filled with awe, wonder, and a new understanding of Earth. For them, nothing would ever be the same. They had seen humans face Deathworld in triumph. Not through strength, but through intelligence, courage, and adaptability. Earth remained alive, dangerous, and unpredictable. But humans have become its masters. And for the alien students, that truth would stay with them forever. As the stars appeared above the canopy, the forest whispered its approval. Earth was a death world, yes, but it was a death world with teachers, guides, and legends to humans. For the first time, the alien students understood the meaning of survival, courage, and respect. And they knew that no other species in the galaxy could match what they had witnessed here. They had learned the ultimate lesson. Earth was a death world, but humans had mastered it in ways no other species could.